Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whenever or wherever you're watching or listening. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I am your host, Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy. Joining us for the next hour to tell us everything he got for Christmas, our single entry assassin, Mr. Joshua Harris. Josh, how you doing today, buddy?
I got a lot of bang for Christmas.
Already with the bang.
But listen, it's Wednesday. We haven't been here in almost 2 weeks. Got to bring some bang. It's delicious. Keeps you energized for this lovely hockey slate.
Yeah, and it's just after Christmas. It's kind of that lull where, people don't really want to work, but you have to work, and, maybe you have some late nights. You got to struggle through it. What better than a delicious bang energy drink to help you get through the day?
Yeah, my insides are thanking me right now.
Exactly. They are. Your insides and your brain. It's just such a wonderful product. We love Bang Energy here at Awesemo. What else do we love here at Awesemo? We love the NHL, and we're back. It has been, I think, 12 days since our last show. It was the Saturday before Christmas, like the 18th or something like that. Remember, we usually don't do shows on Sundays, and then there's a bunch of cancellations Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So we didn't have shows then. It's been 12 days. I should just remind everybody that there are some new rules in the NHL, and we should just kind of talk about those briefly. They went back to the rules that they had in the 2021, bubble season, where there's a taxi squad with each team. And each team, what that means is that each team can essentially carry 3 or 4 minor leaguers on their roster to no penalty to the salary cap, and they can use those players basically in any game that they want. Now, last year, I thought teams used that a lot to get prospects into the lineup, and I think we're seeing that tonight with at least one team in the Buffalo Sabres. But that's one change that with the new COVID rules for the NHL is that it's not going to be often you're going to have the same lineup 2 nights in a row from a team. You're going to see a lot of movement. Teams are going to want to rest players and stuff like that. So just be sure to keep an eye on the news, aside from, postponements, cancellations, or guys hitting the protocols. We're going to be seeing a lot of new players over, this goes, I think, until February. We're going to be seeing a lot of players over the next 6 weeks or so jump into the NHL. So just keep your mind on that, we're going to see some new players, some unfamiliar faces, and that you're going to have to take some risks with some of your line stacking on players that you really don't know a lot about, or some AHLers or something like that. It's just a fact of life that we're going to be dealing with, until they get rid of the taxi squad. We're effectively dealing with the bubble season all over again. At least we don't get the same matchups over and over. So that's a little bit of a delight. Before we get too much further, I see about 50 people in chat. Thank you guys for showing up. If you guys could throw us a thumbs up, makes us look good for our bosses, and click that subscribe button. Help us grow this channel. In our 12-day absence, Josh, they got over the 69,000 subscriber mark, which means the only other goal that's worth reaching is 420,000 subscribers. So we reached our first mark, our second one well underway. Please click that subscribe button.
Jake messaged me yesterday or the other day. He's like, you know who the 69,420 subscriber was? He's like, it was your wife's boyfriend. I was like, oh wow. So look at that.
And Tyler Zander, our producer, gave him the rim shot drums in the background. That boy, Josh. Would also want to thank Yahoo Sports. They have been our sponsor the entire season. They've been very good to us, and we have a little giveaway through Yahoo Sports that we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. But we did have a slate last night. We would have had a show, except one of the games was canceled. So it was only 3 games. It was a wild slate. If I'm not mistaken, there was like 33 or 32 goals scored across 3 games. Like, that's over 10 goals a game, which is over double the league average per game so far this season. I didn't do well. Kel Surprise. That's what happens when you stack the Arizona Coyotes line that you knew was going to be a line all day long, and out of 7 goals, they combined for 1 point. I woke up extremely frustrated by stacking the Arizona Coyotes and just seeing bagels all across the board. So not a good, it's just one of those things. I think this is like my 8th year of DFS. I still get frustrated by that. When you're on a team, when you're on the right team that's not super high owned, but you still get the wrong players, that's something that still frustrates me. I haven't reached a level of zen yet where I can put that behind me as soon as I wake up in the morning. So wasn't a great night for me. I did see subscriber Henry took down the early quarter arcade, or the full slate quarter arcade and the late slate quarter arcade over on DraftKings. And then he said he had 3 top 5 finishes in the dime time as well. So Henry, congrats to you on a very good night. He got to Lawson Krause. We did not. So good for you on getting to Lawson Krause. He put up a 40 burger last night. It was quite the night in the NHL.
Yeah. So there's only 2 scenarios that can happen when Lawson Krause is the leading scorer in a DFS slate. Either Testosterone's winning all the money, or Jake is winning all the money. And by Jake, I mean he'll sprinkle that down to our subscribers, because it was actually an Arizona 3 night. Look at that.
Imagine that.
Yeah, I didn't have Lawson Krause. I Josh stacked the Sharks. They scored 8 goals. I was about 326 points away from in cashing.
and I noticed the Sharks lineup was a little weird too. Like they scored 7 goals. Nobody had 3 points, and only 3 players didn't have a point. I think it was like Middleton and Ferraro, and maybe another defenseman.
Burns didn't.
Yeah, Burns. Yeah, Burns and Ferraro didn't have a point last night. So just one of those really weird slates where there was a lot of goals, but it was a lot of, broken goals. You didn't have a lot of perfectly correlated goals and things like that. So congrats to Henry. Congrats to anybody else that won last night. Let's hope we can get some more winners in the chat here tonight. Before we get too much further, just make sure that you did click the thumb and click the subscribe to keep up with all our DFS offers, all our giveaways, and a whole lot more. Click that bell so you get alerts when we go live. And we have free tools and data up on the site, free premium tools and data up on the site, as we normally do every day, today being no exception. Today we have NBA player projections and our NHL player rankings both live up on the site. So check them out if you're playing NBA or NHL tonight. I'm assuming you're playing NHL if you're watching this show. We also have an Odd Shopper giveaway for a chance to win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. 5 winners will be awarded that free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Just check the link pinned in the YouTube live chat to enter. All right, we do have 6 games here tonight. It was supposed to be 11. 5 have been canceled. Of course, that's the caveat we have to apply to every show, is that things change basically on an hourly basis. The lineups that we have now might not necessarily be the lineups we have in 4 hours. The number of games we have right now might not be the number of games that we have in 4 hours. So just be aware that things can change constantly. I feel like we shouldn't have to say that at this point, given it's our 3rd NHL season having to deal with this. But I also listened to a podcast that discusses TV shows after they happen, and they have to give a spoiler warning on that because people get mad that they listen to a podcast about a TV show that was just on TV that they haven't watched yet. So I guess we have to keep saying it.
Yeah. And, it's funny because when NHL's been off for a week, so, I'm in all, we work for Awesemo, so we're in all the Discords, and I don't have the NBA alerts muted. And holy moly, has News God been busy with the late scratches in NBA. So, if you're coming over to play NHL and you've been playing NBA, I think you know what to expect, but we'll still give the warning.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that too, because the 2 or 3 alerts I would get a day for most of the season never really bothered me. But like the week leading up to to Christmas, I finally had to mute the channel. I just couldn't deal with it anymore. News God, you are the news God. Thank you for doing what you do. You definitely help a lot of people out. All right, we got to get to these games. So let's get to the first one. We have the New Jersey Devils with a 3.2 implied goal total. They're going into Buffalo. The Buffalo Sabres have a 2.9 implied goal total. The big news here is Buffalo is adding a lot of players to the lineup. One, Alex Tuck is playing his first game of the season. He was traded in the Jack Eichel trade from Vegas to Buffalo. Hasn't played this season. looks to be playing tonight. DK, the DK injury algorithm caught up to him, and he's priced at 2,500 on the top line. Now, I'll talk about Alex Tuch a little bit, but I'm pretty sure a little bit later, but I'm pretty sure you're going to talk about him as well. JJ Peterka, also 2,500, also called up, also on the top line for Buffalo. So Buffalo's top line has two $2,500 wingers on it. I'll talk about JJ Peterka as well. And Peyton Krebs as well. He was traded. He was also part of the Jack Eichel trade going to Buffalo, a young prospect. He's going to be the third line center with Kyle Okposo and Brett Murray. So a lot of changes in the lineup for Buffalo. I think those are positive additions, but New Jersey carrying a pretty heavy implied goal total on the road, the highest road total on the slate, in fact. So what do you got here, Josh?
Yeah, this is not my favorite game, but I feel like it's a very important one for this slate.
Yeah.
And we were talking before the show how we thought Buffalo was going to match up with Dylan Cousins out, and I think we came to the conclusion that we don't know.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're assuming that Peyton Krebs may be the shutdown center.
Yeah.
But that's just an assumption.
Yeah, I'll just say the assumption is based on Murray and Okposo when Dylan Cousins was healthy. That was the shutdown line. And Peyton Krebs is supposed to be like a two-way future center. So it makes sense to me that they're going to use Krebs in the Cousins role with the same wingers that Cousins had. That's the thought process behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so if that's the case, they're probably going to get a Heischer, Bratt, Zaka, and you see almost 15% ownership there. I'm I know the Devils have a high total, but since Hughes came back, they've just been bad. The whole team has been bad. And I don't know if I'm going to be getting too much Devils tonight. It's just, I understand if you want to play them, Heischer, Bratt, Zaka, they're fairly cheap. They project pretty well. They got two guys on power play one. So if you want to play them, I think that's fine, especially if they get the Krebs matchup. I think this is Peyton Krebs' first game in the NHL this season as well. So he's supposed to be a pretty decent two-way center, but we just don't know. There's still unknowns on him.
Sorry,
so,
he did have 9 games before he got hurt. So
for Vegas or for Buffalo?
Yeah, for Vegas.
For Vegas? I don't remember that. That must have been 8 years ago.
Well, it was because, they had so many injuries, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. It probably was in October or November, which feels like 3 years ago. So,
well, he has, his last game was November 2nd.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a decent matchup. I just think there's other spots that I want to play more. I just think Buffalo 1 is more appealing to me just because they're fully correlated. They're getting less ownership. They're way cheaper. Alex Tuch shouldn't be min-priced, but he is. He's a legitimately good right winger. It's the DK injury algorithm getting him. So Tage Thompson, 5,300, he's their best center, obviously. JJ Peterka, he's a rookie, but I think he's the best German prospect since Leon Draisaitl.
Pretty much.
Not that Germany's pumping out NHL prospects, but
there's him and there's Tim Stützle and all that.
Yeah.
Him and Stützle, I'll talk about it, but they're supposed to be fairly similar.
Yeah. So I mean, 10-3 for a fully correlated line. They're probably I don't want to say they're for sure going to get them, but I would imagine they see a fair bit of that Hughes Sharangovich line. And that Hughes Sharangovich line has not been good since Hughes got back. Maybe this break, a light bulb went on in Hughes' head, but again, we're going to be breaking down these games, but most of these teams haven't played in over a week. So we saw it yesterday. It's just going to be a lot of sloppy hockey, but we can give you the best analysis that we can. And at 10,300 fully correlated, 2.9 total at home ownership, fairly in check. I kind of Buffalo 1 tonight. If you want to play Devils 1, I think that's fine. But really, in MME, I think there's a handful of lines you can play. But getting down to 1 to 3, I think I would narrow it down to Buffalo 1, and then maybe the Mercer Janssen 2-man or NJ 1. But for me in 1 to 3, I think my target would be Buffalo 1. I haven't built yet. I don't know if they'll make the cut, but in MME, I think there's a lot on both sides.
Yeah, there is a lot on both sides. And I'm glad you did go into the deeper Buffalo lines, because I think there's more to talk about there than just the top line. But I do want to talk about that Buffalo top line, because I think talking about JJ Peterka is fairly important to this slate. Sometimes players are called up. Actually, I'll get just a brief overview of Peterka. He was a German-born player, drafted early in the second round, like 32nd or 33rd overall or something like that. He played in the World Junior Championships on a line with Lukas Reichel and Tim Stützle. Now, all three of those guys were drafted in, I think, Stützle 5th overall, Lukas Reichel in the middle of the first round, Peterka early in the second round. Now, it's hard to decipher when prospects are that young, who's good on that line and, who's doing all the work and all that. And I think back to Finland's top line like 6 years ago or something like that. The top line was Aho, Laine, and Puljujärvi. And out of those three players, Patrick Laine was drafted higher than the other two. Now, 5 years later, who would you rather have out of Aho, Laine, and Puljujärvi, right? So that's why it's like, yeah, JJ Peterka was drafted later than his line mates in Reichel and Stützle, but that's not to say that JJ Peterka is bad or worse than either of them or all of them. So I think his skill set was supposed to be as like a dual threat player, but it seems like he's translated his playmaking better to the NHL or to the AHL level. He has like 20 points in 23 games as a 19-year-old in the AHL. Like, he's just tearing it apart. And I think those playmaking skills would mesh well with someone like Alex Tuch, who's a kind of like a grinder, dig the puck out type, and Tage Thompson, who's another playmaker like Peterka, just like a foot taller. I think that could be a really good Buffalo top line, and they're not going to see the Hischier line at all here tonight for New Jersey. And those New Jersey second and third lines since Hughes came back just haven't been good, or at the very least nearly as good as they have been. So I do like the Buffalo top line here. It's just, I think a fair number of people are going to like them here tonight. We have them, 4.5% over leverage. So they're probably going to be a popular filler, but I think, if you're going to use this team and go into your Washingtons and going into your Edmontons, it's probably some sort of power play stack. So you don't really have to worry about duplications, I don't think. So I do like the Buffalo top line most in this game. I think the Buffalo third line of Krebs, Murray, and Okposo is fine as well if you want to get really, really different, but I'm not going to dip down that far. I don't really see a need when the lines are the same price and the top line's still only coming in at like 6% or whatever it is anyway. So Buffalo one for me. On the New Jersey side, I would go to the top line, Bratt, Hischier, Zacha. I don't think Krebs is as good as Dylan Cousins right now, so I think that could be a weak matchup for Buffalo. So I think that could be good for the New Jersey top line. So Bratt, Hischier, Zacha for New Jersey, Thompson, Tuch, Peterka for me from the Sabres. On the blue line, I know our projections have Dougie Hamilton very high, and my own personal projections have Dougie Hamilton for number one on this slate as well. But we were talking a little bit before the show, like New Jersey just hasn't looked good over the last month, and Hamilton's numbers have suffered for it. I don't know if I want to pay 7,800 or 7,900 or whatever it is for him here tonight. I don't know who my favorite defenseman is out of this game. Who's yours?
Much to the chagrin of the crap I'm going to get for saying this, I think Rasmus Dahlin at 4,400 draws my attention. I'm sure Seth, it's getting the vigil ready for me, but like I like him at 4,400. It's really about it. Like Graves at 3,800, if he, is interesting one-off if you're in no man's land and you need a guy there. But, honestly, like there is not much outside of correlating that I want to play from this game on the blue line.
Yeah, I don't mind Ryan Graves' price at 3,800, but now that New Jersey's entire blue line is healthy, it's one of those things like I think he's priced fine at like 3,800 to 4,000, right? It's like he's fine. I wouldn't run out to play him. All right, let's move it along. New York Rangers, 2.7 implied goal total. They're going into Florida. Florida Panthers have a 3.4 implied goal total. Big news on both sides. Alexander Barkov is back for Florida. He's on the top line with Carter Verhaeghe and Anthony Duclair. Jonathan Huberdeau is also back for Florida. He's sliding on the second line with Sam Bennett and Sam Reinhart. And it's not confirmed, but it looks like Igor Shesterkin will be back for the New York Rangers tonight. He's been out, I want to say, about 3 weeks with an injury. Igor Georgiev. Alexander Georgiev is on the COVID protocols. So if it's not, it's Shesterkin. They're going to Adam Husker or something like that. You know what I mean?
Keith Kincaid is the guy.
Keith Kincaid. Yeah. So I think that's what's kind of killing me about this game is like I would really, really want to play either of the top Florida lines if it was any goalie but Shesterkin. But as I wrote about in my Power Plays article this morning for Awesemo, I think Shesterkin's the best goalie in hockey, and he has the best high danger save percentage in the NHL over the last 3 years to prove it. So it's a big deal whether or not Shesterkin starts tonight, and we just don't know for sure. I'm assuming he is. We'll find out in 3 hours, 4 hours.
Yeah, and Gallant, he'll hint at it, but he won't confirm anybody because he's, we'll just, but like the thing is, like he's been out with a groin injury or a hip injury, something that, affected his lap.
Yeah, it was a groin injury, and then he did an interview saying he's going to try to stretch more, which I was like, yeah, it makes sense.
So, like, someone who's been out that long, team who hasn't played that long, like, injuries to goalie, like, listen, I can't conjecture how he's feeling. Obviously, he feels fine if he's going to come back, but, like, it does worry me when goalies have injuries that affect their lateral movement. Now, again, neither of these teams have played in a while because Florida had a bunch of games canceled because they had COVID. Rangers didn't really have COVID issues, but they played a lot of teams that did, so they haven't played in a while. So like you saw yesterday, like the goalies it was just a mess yesterday. But the X factor is Igor is better than any of the goalies who played yesterday. That being said, like you look at the ownership on Florida, and that's what's drawing me there. Like, listen, it is Igor, but like the Rangers are so bad 5-on-5. The Panthers are so good 5-on-5. So, like, really conflicted on what to do. Like, even if Igor is confirmed, I still think Florida top 6 would be in play for me in 1 to 3, just because they generate so many shots. The Rangers aren't great 5-on-5. They're not great defensively. Like, yeah, Igor has the highest high danger save percentage in the league, but if Florida's going to pop like 19, 20 high danger chances tonight, like, he might let in 3 and the save percentage goes up. You know what I mean? Like,
it's true.
So like, I honestly think that, I'm going to heavily consider both of Florida top lines here. And I think I like, if you're doing it for the power play correlation, I think Florida 2 makes more sense. They are lower owned than Florida 1, but like from a 5-on-5 standpoint, I guess both are really good. So like, it's really just like, pick what you want here. The Bennett line's going to get Strome, Panarin, Dryden, Hunt, which, has been pretty good defensively since Hunt has been moved up there. Barkov, Duclair, Verhaeghe going to get Subban, Kreider, Kakko, and like Capo Kakko has solidified that line defensively. Like they've been pretty good, but at the same time, they've been bad to, 5-on-5 generating. And what did the Florida Panthers do? Just generate at a high rate. So I think despite Igor, I'm going to heavily consider the Florida top 6 here. And then on the Rangers side, like, again, like there's low ownership on the Rangers too. Like if I was a betting man, which I am, here I am, we're talking about it. Like I would bet the over in this game, especially the Florida Panthers team total. But like if Igor's out, like this game's going over 6 for sure. Bobrovsky doesn't worry me. What worries me more stacking Rangers is how bad they are 5-on-5. So I think like for the Rangers side, I would maybe consider doing like a mini power play stack, doing like Kreider, Zibanejad, Panarin, or Strome, Panarin, Kreider, something like that. But like I don't think I'd full stack anything on the Rangers side. But on the Panthers side, I'm definitely considering the Panthers top 6 despite Igor. And if for some reason it is Kincaid, like I'm full sending the Panthers.
Yeah, that I'll add that exact same caveat that I'm interested in the Panthers regardless of who starts. But if they do a coach's availability an hour and a half before the slate locks and we find out that it is Keith Kincaid, yeah, I'm going to be very interested in the Florida Panthers. I think one thing about the Rangers that really bugs me is that they slow down the game to a crawl, right? Like,
it's so bad.
It can make it really tough to watch sometimes. And that's what worries me about the Florida Panthers is that they're, like you said, they're a very high-paced team. I'm pretty sure they're leading the league in shot rate this year. If a team drags them down, to 28, 29 shots, and they're facing Igor beyond that, like that feels like a way that New York can, skate out of here with a 4-1 win or something like that. So that's what concerns me about Florida is that they kind of get dragged down into the mud. And Sam Bennett at 7,800 or 7,900 or whatever it is,
it's crazy.
Like,
price.
I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure I'm the biggest Sam Bennett fan on the entire planet. I've been pumping this guy's tires for a year now, nearly a year. And he's $900 more than Alexander Barakov, despite he has 5 assists. He has 5 assists this year. There's sometimes players get that in a game. He has 5 assists in 30 games.
He's going Cy Young season here.
Exactly. And it's not like he's on pace for 47 goals. He's on pace for like 32, which is a good total, but it's not worth $8,000 on DraftKings.
Yeah.
So it's just really, really hard for me to pay up for Sam Bennett. So then I find myself in some sort of, Barkov, Reinhart, Ekblatter, Barkov, Huberto, Reinhart stack. And then I'm going into broken power play stacks. And it's just like, what am I doing to myself here? So that's what's kind of driving me away from Florida is that the Rangers drag down the pace, and with Shesterkin in net, I just don't like it. No problem with playing Florida too. I do like that line here.
I think that's a counter argument too, because he's so expensive. He's going to be lower owned, so maybe you want to target them. But like you make good concerns, so like it's a double-edged sword here. So
yeah, I would definitely say I'm not playing him in cash games. I think we can all agree on that much. So yeah, I do like Florida too. I just would like them a lot more if we find out that Shesterkin's not playing. On the Rangers side, nothing for me except possibly that third line. Like they just won't stop generating, man. 68 shot attempts per 60 minutes, 4.3 expected goals per 60 minutes, but they're shooting 4%. So they're only scoring like 1.4 per 60. If they don't shoot 4%, if they only shoot 8%, which is like league average at 5-on-5, they're scoring 3 goals per 60 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, Filipino isn't scoring in Spearman Rhino right now, but maybe that will turn around.
Okay, fair enough. So I think Rangers 3 makes a nice filler if you're using super expensive Washington or Edmonton. But other than that, nothing for me from the Rangers. On the blue line, I wrote up Jacob Trouba because if this does get to be a high-paced game, I think his peripherals play perfectly into a matchup like this. So I do like Trouba over on DraftKings, 2,500 good ass over on DraftKings as well. Those are the guys I like. What do you like?
Yeah, Gustav Forsling, 3,400 as well is an interesting punt. Like Mackenzie Weegar still over 6K is kind of iffy to me. I mean, like if I probably just find a way to spend up for Ekblad or just go all the way down to Forsling or Goodass. On the Rangers side, I agree on Trouba. It's really about it. On the Rangers side, it's just like the cheap punt guys on the Rangers don't really do much in terms of peripherals, and I don't want to pay up for Adam Fox on the slate because he is kind of score sheet dependent.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, let's move this along. Get access to all the great Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there with an Awesemo Plus weekly pass for $29.95. This includes full access to all the premium content and tools on Awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections, our premium Discord, our lineup builder, and a whole lot more. If you're a new user of Awesemo Plus Platinum, then you can take advantage of the promo code we have for this show, which is NHL Strategy Show, all caps, all one word, NHL Strategy Show for 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You can find the link to activate this coupon in the description of the video below. And of course, if you're only looking to play NHL DFS, then you can sign up for one of our Awesemo Plus NHL packages for as low as $3.95 a week. Stop guessing, start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today. All right. Our next game has Nashville with a 2.7 implied goal total. They're going into Washington. The Caps have a 3.2 implied goal total. Now, I see a game with a 6 total for, including both teams. And I see Nashville's top 6 at 5% combined ownership. And I see Washington's top 6 at 10% combined ownership. It doesn't seem like anybody's playing anybody. Well, I shouldn't say that. Obviously, people are playing out of this game, but there's not much ownership on either side here. And as I mentioned, this is a game with a 6 total. It's not some 5 total nothing game. It seems like we should have a lot of interest in both sides here, Josh.
Yeah, this is another game kind of like Devils Sabres that not my favorite, but it feels important. I guess you can say that about any game. Like, I'm not really breaking any news there, but like, man, I hate playing the Capitals. But you really have to consider this top line here, because what the Caps do at home is they send out Lars Eller against top comp, which means Evgeny Kuznetsov, Alex Ovechkin, Tom Wilson, who's now on power play 1, they're fully correlated, is going to be getting bottom 6 matchups of the Predators, who are already missing Roman Josi. So God knows who their third pair is going to be tonight. Ben Harper, Matt Benning. Oh, yeah. Defensive wizards there. So, like, it just bugs me because, like with the Rangers, like, that line is just not good 5-on-5. They're just not. Like, I hate playing expensive lines that just suck. Like, they don't suck, but they're not great 5-on-5. Like, they're fairly power play dependent. And Ovechkin's 9,700, which is, where he's been for the past few weeks. But it's just like you could play all of Buffalo 1 for almost the same price of Alex Ovechkin. Like,
they might actually have the same projection. I don't know. I didn't check.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. Like, Yakov Trenin, Taylor Jeannot have like decent defensive numbers together, but like, I can't see, if the Predators take even like 3 penalties today, them being able to stop them on the power play. Yossi's out. They lost Alice in the offseason, which can't go unstated how big of a loss that is. Like, who are their penalty killing defensemen tonight? Like Dante Fabro and Matthias Ekholm. Like, I see a scenario, like, I don't see a scenario where if the Predators take a handful of penalties that they can stop the Capitals on the power play tonight. UC Saros is there. Yeah. So, like, I love UC Saros. I don't know if I put him in the same pantheon as Igor, but like, he's a very good goalie. It's just like, it's kind of the same conundrum I'm having with the Panthers for different reasons. Like, I just don't want to play them because they're super expensive and they're not great 5-on-5. But like, if the Predators take some penalties tonight, like, it's just going to be a mess on the power play. Now, on the flip side of that, you see the Predators top line coming in at 2%, and they're going to get, Lars Ellers, McMichael, Hathaway, and Eller McMichael has sampled together as pretty high vent. So like, they're giving up a fair bit of chances here. And, Nashville 1 is fully correlated, coming in at 1-2%. So, I mean, like, I see Matt Duchene doesn't have a projection, and maybe that's screwing up the ownership. But like, even if that comes up to like 5-6%, like, I'm still interested in both of the top lines in this game. Like, I feel like this being a 6 total also feels low. So like, I really like both top lines here. I think I'm going to lean towards Nashville 1 just because they've been a bit better at generating 5-on-5. They're a little less expensive, but like, if there's a night to get, Alex Ovechkin full line under 10% on a 6-gamer, this probably is the spot, despite it being a good goalie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I think talking about the Nashville penalty kill is pretty important because they are one of the most penalized teams in the NHL. They're taking the 4th most penalties of any team. And if you give, Ovechkin and company 4 or 5 power plays, they are really going to make you suffer. So I kind of agree with you that I don't really like the Washington top line in a nutshell here tonight. But if Nashville, like you said, without Roman Josi, and if they take 4 or 5 penalties here tonight, and, we got to talk about the rest factor too. One of our subscribers, Matt Niehaus, Travis Yost over at TSN, basically anybody that's done work on rest and tired teams finds the same thing, that once you get past 4 days of rest, both teams come back and start scoring the lights out. Like defense goes away, offense is the first thing that comes back. And if offense is the first thing that's going to come back for the Washington Capitals when they're under-owned, I think that's the other thing to note here is that we have them at under 9% ownership.
That's the thing.
We don't have them as a top 5 owned stack here tonight, and it's a 6-game slate. Like there aren't a lot of spots to go here. Like I don't know. If you just wanted a one-off Ovechkin, I think that's fine too. Like I don't think you have to play the whole line here. Like if you have a cheap, like let's say you're playing Buffalo 1, you know Buffalo 1's cheap. You have another set, you have a decent second line you want to put with them, and you have enough salary because Buffalo 1's so cheap that you can put it on one-off Ovechkin. I think that's just fine. I really do like the Washington top line here tonight. I think something you can get away with is playing Ovechkin and Backstrom together, right? Because if Washington does a lot of damage on the power play, they play the power play together, and you save a lot of money going from Kuznetsov at 7,500 down to Backstrom at 5,700, right? So I think that's something else you can do there. But at the very least, I would be looking for a way to get Alex Ovechkin in my lineup. I think it just makes too much sense here tonight. On the Nashville side, I really do like their top line. I'm not sure I'm going to get there in 1-3 because I think Washington is a better defensive team than they're getting credit for. And TJ Oshie might be back tonight for them as well, and that would be another big boost for them defensively. So if I was playing 20 max, I would probably have like 10% Nashville 1. In my 1-3 here tonight, I'm definitely going to be considering them, but I don't think I'm going to get to them. I'm just going to say I do love that Washington top line in this game. On the blue line, I don't know who's going to get the top power play minutes for Nashville between Matthias Ekholm and Alex Carrier. They've both been getting secondary power play minutes this year. What I will say is that I'm fairly confident Ekholm's going to play 25-plus minutes tonight with Yossi out of the lineup. So really like Ekholm here on the Nashville side. Not much for me on the Washington side. I guess Matt Irwin, our old buddy Matt Irwin, might be in play for Washington. What do you think?
And if Matt Irwin ever got consistent 20-minute nights, man, he'd get a monster contract. That dude just shoots the puck. But yeah, Matthias Ekholm for sure. That's really about it. Like Irwin's minutes worry me. So, Ekholm, Carrier, Niehaus's boy Fabro, I'm sure he'll have him in tonight. Is fine for under 3K.
Yeah, I think Carrier is a guy to mention just because there is a legitimate shot he could be running the top power play unit here tonight. We just do not know as of right now. We have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NHL season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Just click the link below to redeem. If you need immediate access, email support@awesemo.com. We'll get you set up right away. You can also receive up to a $100 first match deposit bonus with Yahoo when you use the promo code XMAS100. That's XMAS, capital letters, and the number 100 for a up to $100 first match deposit bonus with Yahoo. Thank you very much to Yahoo Sports. Be sure to click the link below that we have for Yahoo Fantasy in the video, in the description of this YouTube video below. All right, let's move it along. Edmonton, 3.1 implied goal total going into St. Louis. The Blues have a 3.5 implied goal total, and St. Louis is going to be welcoming back a lot of players to their lineup. David Perron is back. He's on the top line with Brandon Saad and Ryan O'Reilly. Robert Thomas is also back for St. Louis. He's going to be on the second line with Vladimir Tarasenko and Pavel Buchnevich. Jordan Kyrou also back. He's on the third line with Logan Brown and Tyler Bozak. On the Edmonton side, Darnell Nurse is out. And Zach Hyman is in. Looks like Hyman back on the top line with Connor McDavid and Warren Fogle. I feel pretty confident about exactly what I like in this game, Josh. So what do you like here?
Yeah. Blues second line is my favorite line. We were talking about it before, COVID started canceling games, how stark of a difference like Robert Thomas makes for Buchnevich and Tarasenko than Barbashev did. Now Thomas is back. They're going to get Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, Yamamoto, which is a bad defensive line. Nurse is out. Edmonton top pair tonight is Duncan Keith, Cody Ceci. Edmonton's top pair tonight is Duncan Keith, Cody Ceci with Mike Smith in that. What? Like, I don't understand like how you don't have Blues tonight. Like, first of all, take out Mike Smith, take out the blue line. Edmonton's bad 5-on-5. They're bad. You add in Robert Thomas, you add in Mike Smith, you add in no Nurse, you add in that blue line. Thomas Buchnevich Tarasenko is probably my favorite play or favorite line of the night. Now, their ownership is a little bit lower than I thought it would be. Like I was expecting 20-25% plus. Right now we're projecting them around 15-16%. I'm okay with that, especially because there's so many options on the slate. Like you don't have to worry about dupes. You just play your guys and you should be fine. Like theoretically 5-on-5, they should run over the second line. Like, I don't even know what defensive pair they're going to get. Like, if you want to go to that top line of Riley Perron, Saad, I think that's fine as well because, McDavid's generally high event. But for me, like, I really like the Blues second line. And then, on the Oilers side, I'm going to be a broken record. I think it's power play stack or bust. I think, at their ownership, I think this is here's famous last words, is a spot where you could fade McDavid in 1-3. It's scary, but I think, put a gun to my head, I think I'd rather play Ovechkin at 9,700 than Connor McDavid at 9,800 tonight.
I agree with that.
So scary fades. Like in 1-3, you're always making tough decisions anyway. You're making tough fades, but in 1-3, I think I'm going to fade McDavid and I'm in on, you can power play stack Edmonton. I think that's fine. You want to use the top line, that's fine. But for me, my favorite line in this game is the Buchnevich Thomas Tarasenko line.
Yeah, I'm with you on that line for St. Louis. Their numbers have been very good together this year. I wrote them up. I didn't write them up. I wrote up Vladimir Tarasenko for my Power Plays article. It's free up on Awesemo.com if you want to go read what I have there. With Thomas Buchnevich Tarasenko on the ice, they're controlling 58% of the shots and 61% of the scoring chances. And they're not going to see much of the Connor McDavid line. And you were alluding to how bad they are 5-on-5. I think the McDavid line with Fogle and Hyman can be good at 5-on-5. I don't think there's another line Edmonton has that can be good at 5-on-5. With the Edmonton top line off the ice, the Oilers are only controlling 44% of the scoring chances. So you're getting a 60% scoring chance line going up against 46% chance line. That's why we like St. Louis 2 so much here tonight. I'm out on St. Louis 1. I'm sorry, man. I posted in our Discord Ryan O'Reilly's offensive impact so far this year. He's just been awful offensively. Defensively, still pretty good, but he's doing nothing offensively. And he's talked in the public, in the media, about how he thought COVID really sapped him of his offensive, like his hands, about his coordination. This is something he said in the media. We're not making this up. So if a player is willing to talk about that, about how much it's affecting him in the media, I don't know, man. I'm pretty out on St. Louis 1. I think Edmonton 1 makes sense here. I think, McDavid and Hyman as a two-man or something like that going up against, David Perron returning, Ryan O'Reilly not anywhere as good as he's been over the last 5 years. I think Edmonton, you can get McDavid and Hyman. They stack together on the power play. I think that's just fine. So Edmonton top line, St. Louis second line are in play for me in this game. On the blue line, I have no idea how these minutes are really going to shake out for Edmonton. I find it hard to believe that with Darnell Nurse and Chris Russell out of the lineup, that Evan Bouchard is only going to play 17 minutes, but I don't like that. Their coaching staff might actually do that. So I think, Keith and Ceci at near bare min prices makes sense for the amount of ice time they're going to get. On the St. Louis side, I noticed Colton Parayko's ice time is starting to come down. It had been fine when Falk returned, but now it's starting to level off. So I don't know, maybe Mikkola from St. Louis, but that's about it.
Yeah, Mikkola's not bad for 2,700. That's probably where I would stop on the blue side. If you have the space for Parayko, I think that's fine, or want to correlate Krug, I guess, but like none of those guys really like jumping off the page like, oh, I need to get them in. Keith CC makes sense, like for the minutes and the price. Like you don't feel great about putting either of them in there, but like if Duncan Keith is going to get 26 minutes at 2,600, like sure. Like
yeah, exactly.
Fall into a couple pucks.
I see a super chat from Matt Niehaus. I mentioned him earlier. He says, do you recommend the Blues tonight? Can confirm the deal is not real tonight also. Yes, I don't think the deal is going to be real tonight. But we are on St. Louis 2. This is a St. Louis 2 podcast. Vladimir Tarasenko.
The guy just paid $4.99 to troll us. That is just what a guy.
I mean, you got to respect it. I respect that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to this next game. Philly, 2.8 implied goal total. They're going into Seattle. The Seattle Kraken have a 3.2 implied goal total. No Sean Couturier for the Flyers. Kevin Hayes is taking a spot on the top line with Travis Konechny. Philly's second line with Giroux, Atkinson, and Lindblom, as they typically have been. On the Seattle side, Brandon Tanev, torn ACL. He's out for the year. So Colin Blackwell back on the second line with Yanni Gourde. Now, I just talked about Ryan O'Reilly and his COVID issues. Colin Blackwell just had an article, just had an interview where he talked about, difficulty breathing and took him a long time to really get back to normal. It's his first game since returning. How good can that line possibly be here tonight? So it's a 6 total. I think there's something to like on both sides. What do you like?
Yeah, I'm out on the Gourde Blackwell Yonkrock line until, I want to see if they look okay, because there's other lines I like better on the Seattle side.
I should say, I think Gourde and Blackwell could be a pretty good combo together. It's just, I'm not going to put all my eggs in the Colin Blackwell basket in his first game back.
Yeah. Rangers legend Colin Blackwell. But I really like the Schwartz, McCann, Eberle line. I don't think I'm going to be alone in that sentiment. They're going to get, probably Giroux, Atkinson, Lindblom, or Hayes, Farabee, Konechny. Like, neither of those lines, scare me defensively. So, fully correlated. We've talked about it. Seattle's just been bad, but, this line being correlated, they've played together. The thing with Seattle is they were just jumbling lines, looking for something. I think they found something with Schwartz, McCann, Eberle. This is a good matchup. Their price is in check. Their ownership's a little high, but, we've talked about so many options tonight. You can get different with them. I think it's fine. I really like them tonight. I also, honestly, don't mind Marcus Johansson, Wenberg, Donskoy, just because they're going to get the, depth of the Flyers, and it's just not good. Party Marty, our personal favorite. It's a net. He's actually been pretty decent this year, but I still think Carter Hart has had a better year. With no Couturier, there's not really defensive center that scares me at all. Hayes generally is a pretty decent center, but he's had a pretty bad defensive year. He's had a lot going on. Mm-hmm. So who can blame him? Claude Giroux, not a defensive center at this point in his career. So I really do like the Seattle side, but again, on the Flyer side, the Seattle defensive lines just have not been great either. So I think there's stuff, especially in MME, the top 6 of the Flyers definitely interests me in MME. I don't know if I'd full stack them or get to them in 1 to 3, but taking pieces of the top power play here, Farabee, Konechny 2-man, or a Atkinson, Lindblom 2-man interests me from the respective power play units. I think, Grubauer has had his documented issues this year. So I think there's definitely some stuff for the Flyers in MME tonight.
Yeah, it's Claude Giroux that I really want to talk about first, because that line has actually been good for the Philadelphia Flyers. The Giroux, Lindblom, Atkinson line. He should probably play about 18 to 19 minutes tonight. But what I really want to talk about is that over the last month with the Jared McCann, you talked about how bad Seattle's defensive numbers were in the depth lines. Over the last month, with their top line off the ice, Seattle's only controlling 41% of the shot attempts and 41% of the scoring chances. I think that Giroux-Atkinson duo can definitely do some damage here tonight against their Seattle matchups, because they're not going to see that top line from Seattle, and I don't think the rest of the lines are going to be very good. So Lindblom, Giroux, Atkinson definitely in play for me here. especially where, they're priced down very reasonably. So you can still get to a more expensive stack, like a St. Louis 2 or even, a broken Washington power play or something like that. So do like Philly 2. It's about Seattle 1 for me, though, in this game. Wrote them up in the Power Plays article. They're going to get the third, fourth lines from the Flyers. There's just nothing down there anymore. Really do like that Seattle top line here tonight. By our top 2 stacks, we have them coming in over owned, but still around 13-14% to be a top 2 stack. So don't mind them here tonight. On the blue line, our old buddy Hayden Fleury running the second power play unit for the Seattle Kraken. Don't mind him. I think that's about it in this game, though, for me.
Yeah, Hayden Fleury's been pretty bad this year, but 2,500 with some power play time, sure. That's really about it. If you want to punt Sanheim, Ristolainen, and Braun, pick your guy, play him. Not super thrilled about it, but how many times are you super thrilled about playing a 3K defenseman?
Yeah, exactly. Not very often, in fact. We have something at Awesemo called oddshopper.com. And what oddshopper.com enables people to do is to shop for the best betting line that they can find. And it actually would come in handy. We were just talking in our Discord earlier today about different lines. I think it was for the Florida Panthers. And, one line was at minus 160. One was at minus 169. One was at minus 170. If you can find the best lines and get the best price, you can make the most money you can. OddsShopper helps you find those lines. And the best part is that it's completely free. So head on over to oddshopper.com. If you're a bettor, I believe they just added NHL betting as well. So now it's NFL, NBA, and NHL betting where you can shop for your line. So head on over to oddshopper.com and shop for the best price you can find. We only have a few minutes left before we get out of here. If you guys could throw us a like and subscribe, really helps us look good for the higher ups. Click that notification button so you get alerts when we do go live. All right, this last game, Vancouver, 2.6 implied goal total going into Anaheim. The Ducks have a 2.9 implied goal total. The big news, obviously, is Trevor Zegras in the COVID protocol list for Anaheim. It looks like Isaac Lundestrom is going to take his spot on the second line. I'll let you talk about Lundestrom. I think it's definitely a little bit of a downgrade offensively from Trevor Zegras. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, like the problem with the Ducks is when they're healthy, they're pretty good. But like when you have to start moving pieces around the Ducks lineup, that's when it gets a little bit dicey for them. Like Nick Delorier on the top line, like what?
Tough scene, man.
Yeah, tough scene. Isaac Lundestrom, I like him as an offense player. He's a big downgrade from Zegras, though. And, like, defensively, he's not very good. There's not really a matchup on the Ducks that really scare me now because, like, when Zegras was on that line with Milano and Raquel, they had ridiculous numbers. But now that's just going to fall off the table with Lundestrom there. I like the Vancouver side here. Think depending on matchups, I think I want to attack. I want to attack all the lines, but like Getzlaf, Delorier, Terry doesn't strike me as a very good defensive line either. They're probably going to get Pettersson, Garland. I think. Like I'm not 100% sure how they're going to match up with Zegras out. And they're coming in about half the ownership of Miller, Pearson, Besser is probably going to see the Lundestrom line, I think. So, like on paper, like, yeah, the Miller, Besser, Pearson line probably has the best matchup. But Getzlaf, Terry, Delorier, like, it just doesn't do anything for me. Like, Delorier drags down lines. Like, that's just what he does. Like, that's his role in the NHL, just, like, drag people underwater. So, I do like Podkolzin, Pettersson, Garland. They're cheap. You know, they're around the same price as Buffalo 1, coming in around 6%. If you want to go to Miller, Pearson, Besser, I think that's fine. But, like, 16% for a Vancouver line in this economy kind of worries me. So I think I'm going to stick to the lower owned guys of a Pettersson, Garland, or even like a Horvat, Hoglander. On the Ducks side, like, I don't know. It's just tough with the way the lines are constituted. Maybe I'll have like a one-off. No, their prices are so expensive. You know what I mean? Like, just looking through the prices, it's just too much. So, like, I'm probably not going to even have Ducks tonight despite their total at home.
Yeah, I really don't like Anaheim here. I think with Zegras out, they're a one-line team, and that one line now has Nick Delorier on it. It's one of those things, like, I just don't see it. Yeah, maybe they score. Vancouver hasn't been great. Maybe Anaheim scores their goals. If somebody gets in on, if Anaheim pulls in Arizona tonight, I'm just gonna the old tip of the cap, go to bed, wake up tomorrow refreshed. For me, this is about the Miller and Besser line. I did write up Elias Pettersson, and it's because he's so much cheaper on DraftKings and FanDuel. It's like $2,500 cheaper. It's not even close. But I just think that Vancouver top line, 57% of the shot attempts, 56% of the scoring chances. They're not going to see the Terry line, and as long as they don't see that line, they're going to get a matchup they can roll. So they are going to be over-owned, but I do like that Vancouver top line. They're priced as a filler basically tonight, so you can stack them with almost anybody else you want. All right. We do have to get out of here because there are some NBA shows coming up. The No House Advantage NBA shows coming up at 4 Eastern with Eitan and Terry. They're followed by the Yahoo NBA Wednesday Night Live show with Kaufman and Greg, and then your NBA double dose of the Deeper Dive and Live Before Lock starts at 5 o'clock Eastern. Josh, I'm going to ask you for your hat trick picks and your goalies for tonight. My hat trick pick is Pavel Buchnevich, and my goalies are Igor Shesterkin and John Gibson. Who you got?
That was the guy I was going to say. For my hat trick pick, I like both goalies in the Canucks-Ducks game. I like Igor. I like UC Saros. I am going to go with – who am I going to go with? Let's see here. I'm going to go Jordan Eberle.
I like it. I wrote up Jordan Eberle in my Power Plays article, so we got some synergy here. Go check out my Power Plays article. It's up on Awesemo.com.
Synergy, like a boss.
Oh, God. All right. We got to get out of here. Like I said, we got some NBA shows coming up in about an hour. For producer Tyler, for Josh Harris, I'm Michael Clifford saying good luck tonight, everybody, and thank God we're back.
Yes.